I'm Miss Ruse. I'll be your teacher today. Looks like Miss Pataki got murdered in a bar fight last night. So sad. Anyways, yeah, we've got a new foreign exchange student too. Come in.
Good morning. My name is Galahad Greinswelt. Charmed. I've transferred from the Primrose Academy in Marthanville.
Alright, well, why don't you take a seat?
Thank you.
This is a fairy tale about the evil that we societal creatures force upon ourselves and onto each other.
But before all that shit, I'm sure you've read the title. So how exactly did I get my kinda horror, kind of an immersive sim, barely an RPG, but still has stats, ported from old, cranky, stupid Unity onto nice, cool, slick, modern, oh my god, it's on fire again, Godot. I'm not gonna lie, Godot is a headache on top of a migraine, on top of Super Saiyan Donkey Kong Goku beating your head in. Why'd they make his hands bigger? But so is Unity, and let me just show you the things that led up to my decision to switch. I think you'll understand my point of view here. Let me show you how long it takes to start my game in Unity. Okay, so we've got both things up here. They took about the same amount of time to launch. I'll give Unity a head start. It's gonna need it. We're gonna start you. That's on an SSD. This is on an external hard drive. Oh, I clicked it twice. Sorry, kitten. Okay. Yeah, so this is gonna be low. I'll put this on the other screen. Let me see if I can get another. So that's we're gonna put that there. That's Unity 11. Now, here's the main thing that I think Unity does have because of the way the scene structure works. Whenever I click these scenes, it's a little bit different. And in Unity, the scene is a little bit different. It usually takes some time to change it. Let's talk about it too. But Oh, did you? Ooh! Yay! Oh my god! Now, let me show you editing the scripts in Unity. Here we go, area transition script. This is my area transition script. They're in C#, so we have Visual Studio. We have to load that. Look at that, look at that. Look at that, it's just okay, it's still... Okay, usually it like glitches out a little bit when I first... Oh, no, there we go. Okay, there's that. Let's just add like, bool... Call you cummies. Cummies equals false. You know, cummies always ring true, but I guess that one equals false. Okay, we gotta reload domain. Hold on. Cummies. Let me show you scripting in Godot. I can edit the scripts. I've pressed one button, I can edit the scripts. And let's add a new export var butt equals. Let's actually remove that. Forgot I have to censor that. Butt fart equals false. You don't even have to put a semicolon in Godot. Oh, and look at, like, okay. Nothing loaded. Nothing reloaded. Nothing reloaded. So when I have a bug, I can just type shit. I don't have to sit there and wait for this thing to figure its shit out. Now, I can't run the game and actually show you. There's a bug in it. So here's what actually made me stop doing it in Unity. You see that? Interplay mode. Unity doesn't know what the that means. Sometimes that just pops up because Unity's being weird. A lot of times that pops up because there's some variable that's like nulling out because of some of the code. And Unity can't process it like as it's starting. Okay, fair. I messed up my code. Here's the thing. If that happens in Godot just shuts the game down. You know how I have to exit this? Watch this. Oh, the X button doesn't work. Oh my god. Okay, let me just... Task manager? Hello, what's up? How you been? Oh, it's been a minute, task manager. Ended that. Alright, I'm glad we still got Unity. Hello, that'd be a pain if I had to wait for that again. So we have to close that. See how long this is gonna take. Every time I have to debug something like that is like nulling out at the beginning, and this is a game with a lot of like variables that get set up. I have this base scene that loads in sub-scenes, which has its own weird quirk that I literally can't even get footage of anymore because Unity just won't start anymore. It keeps telling me to sign in, and then when I sign in, it doesn't work. And that's just not a problem with Godot. Like, the way Godot works, instead of having game objects like Unity, it has things called nodes. And nodes are also scenes in Godot. I've never had a problem with Godot's editor being like weird for me trying to reference something in another scene. It's built literally for the way I've structured my game, which is probably kind of weird, admittedly. I might have designed that weird, honestly. Maybe that was bad structure. I'll be willing to admit that. With that being said, if the thing I'm making doesn't work well in your engine, I might as well just get a different engine at this point. Now, I've talked all this garbage about Unity, and I do want to stress one thing, because I actually got this comment a few times when I was streaming. Unity isn't the worst. I really want to make that point. It's not a useless thing. I highlighted it a bit earlier. Maybe my game wasn't meant for Unity. My game has a ton of systems. It has a ton of code. It has a ton of systems interacting with systems. There were a myriad of options that I could have tried, honestly, before switching my entire game over. Like I said, Visual Studio Code might have been an option. I could have updated to Unity 6. I literally know nothing about Unity 6. Maybe all these weird loading problems were completely fixed in it. The thing is, all of these came with some uncertainty. I have had Visual Studio Code mess up on me and like reset itself. I didn't want to deal with that again if it decided to do that. And as for updating, if you know Unity, you know porting your projects is just a nightmare. I didn't know what that would entail. I didn't know what was going to be messed up. And then there was this third looming thing. On September 12th, 2023, Unity basically hit the towers of every goddamn developer with this insane cockamamie plan to charge developers every time someone installs their game. Was that September 12th? That was a day after 11? What the f? I didn't even think of that when I made that joke. They would then cancel this and then keep like a weird, like, hey, we'll still do it if you make a certain amount of money, but like you'll be able to opt out of it after this date. Kind of BS. Wow, I wasn't fucking with that. I made this weird, like, kind of bitchy sounding statement on some of my social media about how I was gonna make my game free. And I still intend to do that even though I'm selling it on Godot. Here's where my personal judgments come in here. I'm sure a lot of the, like, older game developers in the audience probably know about the pain of using for-profit creative software. There is literally an entire pretty good YouTube video on it. Check that crap out. And me, I hate that stuff. I hate capitalism, I hate profits, I hate everything to do with that. Even if they're providing me a free product, I would rather break away from that ecosystem where they're expecting me to pay at some point. And that's the thing, that's me. Maybe that doesn't work for you. It's not even like whether or not you like money. Maybe it doesn't bother you that this is happening. They're not going to have the install fee anymore. Unity is honestly, for all of its quirks, a pretty good engine. It's very easy to understand and learn. I do still highly recommend Unity. I'm just not going to use it. Now, there's a light at the end of the tunnel, kitten. Look at how I'm playing the game now. I'm sure you can imagine just by looking at this old version of the Niali Forest map. This game was a lot less fun and move aroundable and shit. A lot less interactive. I really feel like I learned a lot by switching to Godot. And here's why remaking my game was such a good idea. My game had these two ideas. It was going to have a very interactive world and then a very static JRPG combat system. That doesn't work. As I was rebuilding it, I started with just a simple combat system because I wanted the base engine underneath everything to be something I could expand into different games. And the base combat system that I had was just an action combat system. All it did was just spawn a hitbox. That was easy enough to do. You didn't need like an RPG menu or anything like that. And as I was working on it, I was like, I don't want to make another menu. Let me just make an action game. And then I thought about it, and here's the crazy thing. So the reason that the environmental interactions were so prevalent in all of the builds was because of my favorite character in this game. His name is Wei Hazuki. He is a little three-armed demon boy with 3 mouths and a personality that I describe with glee to my friends as Monkey D. Luffy and Jeffrey Dahmer. The first cutscene that I have him in now, this may change, has him talking to a severed head that he has pulled from somebody because he needs a friend. I love this kid. The reason Wei is so important is because he's my favorite character, and because Wei has the ability to stick to walls. That is a lore fact. People of his race, the Hazuki Onai demons, all have something that I call frog skin, where they just have Spider-Man skin, okay? They can climb up walls. Every other character in this game, like Galahad is a wizard, Aria is an artificer, Anaxis is a rogue, Guitarra is a telepath. All of those can very easily be represented in RPG combat. A Stickyman? That's different. So I needed a more interactable world. Thus, I had things like the game entity that you could destroy, because you need to feed into that. You can't just have just climbing on walls, you know? I don't know, maybe I was reaching or like overthinking things, but if this is just like a normal RPG where the only weird thing is that you can also climb on walls with like one character in your party, it's a little weird. Like everyone else plays normal, but he's just got this special privilege. It's a little weird. And the really cool thing is that I had this other idea for this game at one point that I had kind of shelved because I just already had the RPG mechanics. See, I had the idea that it would be basically a team-based, like, immersive sim platformer based on verticality. Like, every level is kind of like you start at the bottom, you go to the top. Wei is probably the easiest character to get through every level because he can climb on everything, but you have these 4 other characters that you need to get through every goal. So Wei can climb up somewhere, but he's also super strong, so maybe he can, like, push down a boulder to get out of the other character's way. Something like that. That was the idea that I had. And as I was, like, rebuilding this system, I had this spark of, like, maybe that's what this needs more than just being the RPG that I already had. So as I've been building the game more and more, I've been kind of trying to keep that in mind. It's like, this is going to be like a team-based immersive sim. And I really like that idea more, because like RPGs are cool and they're great engines for telling stories, but this isn't just any story. This is a story about relationships and connections and love. These 4 characters, along with their like surrogate dad, Anoxis, these are all very damaged, lonely individuals that also have extraordinary powers that can be used for like cool video game puzzle solving. What a perfect way to communicate the idea that they're slowly growing and working together. If you literally have these puzzles that they have to solve together, you know? It does feel kind of crappy saying goodbye to all that work. I started working on that like a little bit before 2020, and that battle system that I kind of trashed, I actually made during a really horrible bout of COVID. Like, I was basically trapped in my room, and then whenever I would wake up, if I had like a little bit of energy, I would just like crawl over to my computer and be like, alright, let's put the battle system together. It came a long way, and it served its purpose. I'm glad I did it. It made me understand how to make a JRPG battle system so that I can one day. But I think it's time to put that to rest and move forward with something way better. I really like where this thing's going now. I'm really happy with this new version of the game. There's a lot of different stuff. I really love the floating platforms. Here's the thing. The world of this game was actually always intended to be a world of floating islands. But for some reason, I didn't think to like design the levels around that. You know, I just thought, oh, they'll see the edge of the world off if they get to the edge of the map or something. But no, with this new like platformer focus, it's really cool. You just jump on these little floating islands and they're like everywhere. I'm really excited to do more of that. I really love that design for that world. I love the fantasticalness of floating islands for some reason. I swear to God, and you're gonna think like, oh, you must have seen like some old Ghibli movie and that no. The Sonic OVA, which I actually barely remember, but I remember when I saw that as like a teenager, I was like, that is the coolest thing ever. Sonic will always be there, rotting my awful little Tisme heart and cum brain into oblivion. So going forward, I've got the basic gameplay now. I've got the main character Aria pretty playable. I've got the second main character Galahad playable too, and you can swap between them. The process of that might be something I actually go into on the next video. I've got a few opening cutscenes. Like I said, this is still a very story-heavy game, and I think on our next devlog, we're gonna kind of go into the process of making those cutscenes. That's another thing about Godot. The cutscene editor in Godot is way better than Unity's, which you'd think would be the reverse, but no. With Unity, if you want to make like a timeline for animating like stuff in the scene, you have to like create a whole file. In Godot, it's just in the engine. It's awesome. I make like animations with Godot. Godot's pretty good for making cutscenes. I like it. That's probably one of the best things I got, honestly, how to switch into Godot. But yeah, I'm more so focusing on telling the story and just mapping out the first few levels I have for the story. Right now, I've got the Monument Circle level. The big city where Aria lives is actually based in Indianapolis, which means I hate this place. I don't like these walls. I forgot that I had a model for the walls in my old game, so I'm going to port those over. The part of Niali Forest that we're going to be playing at is pretty much done. I know I want to expand on it later, but for right now, this works really well. And then the next thing, there's a cave right here that I'm going to add for the last third of the game that you'll be playing through. That's probably going to be next devlog though. I'll see you guys when I get there. If you guys want to follow this game a little more, subscribing to my channel is a really good way to do that. That's where you'll get a lot of updates. Other than this, I also try to cover a lot of indie game stuff and a lot of hacks and mods and stuff like that. Just fan content. The game is free. I want to plug other free stuff. I love free stuff. It's freaking great. I also talk about politics sometimes. The game is very political. I probably should have mentioned that earlier. I also have an itch.io page. I don't have a Steam page yet because I need $100 and I haven't broke this. Your boy needs money. If you want to subscribe to my Patreon, it is so that I can keep making videos and games. I know I am small, but I do want this game to be free. My dream is to just make money off of Patreon and not have ads on my videos and never have to sell any of my games. If you can help me with that, I would be eternally grateful. If you can't, and you don't even want to see my face again, if you liked this game, if you could just leave a like and then just say like what was the coolest thing you saw. But yeah, other than that, thank you guys so much for watching. Stay tuned for updates and let me know what you liked about this video. I've never done a devlog. I know mine are probably a little bit different from from a lot of them. I want to know what I could do better.